The following is a presentation of TFNN. Trade what you see with Larry Pesavento. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648 or internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, Larry Pesavento.
Okay, looking good, Billy Ray. Feeling good, Lewis. Good morning, everyone. We're going to take a look at the German DAX this morning from two different viewpoints. The first one we're going to look at is the 15-minute chart, and as you can see, we've had some very nice patterns here that have outlined over the last couple of days. You'll see the bottom that we had down there yesterday was actually a really nice bottom at the 61% retracement, and then it had the ABCD structure to the upside. However, if we go look at the DAX on a long-term basis, that's going to show us just 1 second here. There we got it. 1 second here. It's going to, you can see here that we're up against some really major resistance areas. We've got the larger ABCD pattern going back from quite a ways, and then we also have the expansion level, plus we have the possibility of a double top up here at this 12,000 level. So it's going to be very, very interesting at this point, and especially the fact that we have this beautiful ABCD structure that stopped at the 382 and then went all up to the C to see how it's going to finish up at that level. So anyway, we will keep an eye on this as we go through, and then we'll look at this as we go through watching some of these things. And you'll see that we'll be taking a spot at them. Look at it here. If you hold with me 1 second, please. We could have the S&P double topping. Yes, there's certainly a possibility of the E-mini double topping up there. There's no question about that. It's got to get above this last resistance at the 2390 level, of course. But that can happen in a heartbeat in these markets, because it doesn't take much for the markets to get moving quite a bit. So that's the main thing of what we want to be watching. Okay. Anyway, what we'll do is we will. Okay, let me think. Let me see what we got here. Okay, that's all I needed to know. And there we go. Let's just talk about the gold market here, folks, because we are at a really interesting point here in the gold market. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put up the gold because, let's do two things. First of all, let's look at where we were in silver yesterday. We were talking about this, the fact that it looked like silver and gold were going to go down a little bit lower, which in fact they've done. As you can see from this first chart, we hit the exact 1686 level. 1680 was the exact number of the 61% retracement back from December. And because we've had these strong moves down, with virtually no rally, that usually suggests that you want to go to a lower level. And that is, in fact, what we're actually doing this morning. We'll put this up so you'll be able to see that we actually broke that level. I think we will. If you give me 1 second here, that I can find the chart, and there it is right here, I hope. There we go. And you'll see that we've broken down below this level this morning, which is usually not a good sign. Oh, by the way, folks, this morning we're going to have Norm Winsky of Astro Trends on this morning. Norm has got some really good stuff. He only comes on the show when he has some really interesting timing things, and also, they fit in with some of the patterns that we look at, so we need to watch that very, very closely. But if you look at this gold and silver chart for just a minute, you're going to see something very interesting, and you'll see that the strength in the gold market is really, really strong. In other words, it took out those highs from February and went up and made a 1.618 expansion, whereas silver, all it could do was to go up and touch those highs, making a double top and then reversing. So this is where we stand. This market is either getting ready to have a pretty substantial move to the upside, or we're going to cascade to the downside. The one thing that we'll do now is if we look at gold on a little smaller time frame, just going over the last 3 days, and you can do that because you can put your microscope on these patterns and find an entry point that looks pretty good. So if you take a look here at the gold market, you're going to see the 3 drive to a bottom pattern that should come in around the 1249 level. And if you look over on the very far left of the chart, back on May the 28th, you'll see that bottom line there. That's the 78% retracement of the last swing down. Now, remember that this is not even at a 382 level that we're seeing in gold, whereas the silver has already gone below the 78% level. So it's showing you that silver is incredibly weak, yet gold is not, and that could be a very bullish sign for gold. So the level of 1249 is very important, because if we get much below that, that's going to set up our longer term target that we've been waiting for, which is at 1220. I hope that makes sense to you, because I'm trying to put it together to see that you get some of these things that will line up, to give us a very, very low entry rate if we want to see these things. So keep in mind that that's what we're watching here in the gold and silver. The fact that silver broke below that level was not surprising, but we are over some major cycle stuff today and tomorrow, and also all the way into Monday. We've got a lot of things that are going on, and then we have the full moon effect coming in next week too. So there's going to be some really good patterns to occur here. When we come back from this next little break, I want to go over to talk just a tiny bit about the grain markets, because we are at some real critical spots in the grain market where we could have some really good moves here. We're going to have really big volatility in the grains this year, folks. We're already starting to see it, and the planning is just starting. So this is going to be interesting. And the weather is not cooperating. We have wet weather all across the growing belt, and it's just extreme weather. And yesterday, the wheat rallied up and made a 61% retracement of the whole move down. And that's only been 8 days ago, folks, when we had the new moon. Bada bing, bada boom, it went right up, hit the exact 61% retracement at 461 in July wheat. And that's correct. We have Mercury going direct tomorrow. I'm sure Norm is going to cover that this morning when he comes on. So that's going to be another one that's interesting. So the last time, in fact, is back in May of 2000. Someone's asking a question here. Okay, they're asking me to elaborate on these, the gold and the silver. Basically, what I'm looking at in the gold and silver is the fact that, when we got up to that 1375 level, that was a very strong resistance point. That was the 78% retracement. And all we were doing now is I measure the number of days. In other words, I look from the last low to the next low, whatever that happened to be. I believe it was 48. I'm not sure. But if you'll go back and ask yourself what happened to the market the last time something did this, and that's what I did in silver. And silver was performing beautifully until it went below 1680. Now it hasn't gone a lot below 1680. I think it got down to 1672 today, but the timing is not right now. And now that the fact that we've got this cycle here today or tomorrow, this could be a real interesting spot to look at the gold and silver. That's about the best way that I can describe it. 877-927-6648.
TFNN is excited to offer a brand new piece of market scanning software unlike anything the industry has ever seen. John Logan and his team have spent years developing their market profile tools to finally be able to release the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. And right now you can get a 2-week trial absolutely free just by visiting TFNN.com and providing us your name and email address. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is the premier market profile-based scanner in the industry. Powered by the acclaimed TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner is a standalone desktop software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Within 3 minutes of signing up, you can have the software downloaded and running on your computer with a complete roadmap of market indicators and inflection points to trade off using the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. Sign up today and try this amazing piece of software by visiting TFNN.com.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN, and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Larry takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Okay, we're back, folks, and we were talking about that gold and silver. What I was doing there, I was trying to show you the fact that silver is breaking down below some major resistance. Let's call that support, sorry. And also gold was coming down to some major support. That's all I was trying to do. And what I do is I start out with a daily chart or a 4-hour chart, then I go down to a smaller time frame, 15 minutes, and then I try to identify the patterns. That's what we were doing. So I'm assuming today that the gold is going to have some pretty strong support at that 1249, 1248 level. Of course, if it doesn't, then it's going to break a great deal lower. And believe me, the bias of this stuff is still to the downside, folks. There's no question about it. So you've got to pay very, very close attention to it. I just didn't want you to get too involved with what I was looking at here, because it was very short-term oriented. Some of these things only last about 4 or 5 hours, or at the most 2 days. So this is what I was trying to show you, is that we do have a negative bias to these metals that we've had now for several weeks. Fortunately, we haven't been involved in this gold since the 1260 level, and now we're waiting to see if we can finally get down to the 1220 level. 1220 to 1200 is going to be really, really important in the gold market if we get to that level. Now, the next one that we need to look at, of course, is we have a question from one of our listeners here in the den about the cattle market. And if you'll give me a second here, like my grandma says, if you ever have the urge to go and trade cattle, lay down on the couch until the urge goes away. We're going to start out here with June cattle, because yesterday they had something that hadn't happened in a very long time in cattle, and that is the fact that it was limit up. In other words, there were no sellers up there. There were only buyers. As you can see, it was trading at 127. And if you go back and look at this, back in October, you'll see that little yellow pattern that was a 3-drive to a bottom pattern. That's when Rich Anderson was on, and we were talking about this pattern and how bullish it had the potential. And now we are looking at cattle 36 cents higher, and the whole world wants them. But let me show you something that's really interesting here. This is the June cattle, which is the spot month. And as you'll notice, the open interest in June cattle dropped these last couple of days, and that's because it's been short covering. If we go to the next level in the cattle market, which is August, I want you to show you how the pattern is so different. look at this pattern in August cattle. You see that giant shooting star pattern up at the 123 levels? This is highly suggestive that the cattle market are getting ready to have a heck of a sell-off. First of all, two reasons. One is that shooting star pattern. The second is the rate of ascent of this last move since April the 5th has been, almost at 75%. And you don't see that very often. So keep an eye on the cattle. I'm not making a recommendation in here because the volatility is not the easiest thing to do. And whenever a market goes limit up, you should pay attention to it. Even though cattle is a much smaller market than any of the other markets that we look at, it's still, very tradable, and a lot of people are involved in it. It has pretty good volume every day, so it's not really too much of a problem. Okay, now let's move on to something else here that we want to keep an eye on, and that is the E-mini S&P. What would we be looking at today? And all I have to do is find it. There we go. And you'll see here that we are here also in a downtrend, and it'll show you some of the resistance points and support points. We should have some pretty good support around 2380. If we go below 2380, folks, you're going to see most probably somewhere around 2369. That would be the big ABCD starting back on the 26th, of course, which was our new moon. And then that would get us into early next week. Well, this can happen very quickly, 2369. But 2369 is the 1.618 ABCD expansion of that move. So that's why I would be looking at it. I know some of you folks that are listening out there, I spout off to all these numbers, 1.27, 1.618, 786, 618. Most people know that these are Fibonacci numbers. That's not a mystery. And when I talk about expansions and contractions, that's not a mystery. But the problem, folks, is that most people, when they look at Fibonacci or whether they look at pattern recognition, they only look at a small piece. In other words, they're only looking at a 61% retracement or possibly a 78% retracement. They don't look at the whole structure of how the market got there. That's what pattern recognition does. And believe me, folks, this does not happen overnight. This takes a long time to understand how these patterns fulfill and how they replicate themselves over and over, and why they have a pretty good predictive power. Now, it's certainly not not anywhere even close to 100%. But if you can get it even better than 60%, you're going to be able to get a whole a view of what the market's doing far, far better than you would at any other time. So remember that this is a long-term journey if you're going to look at Fibonacci numbers. And remember, Fibonacci numbers is nothing more than a subset of the numbers of sacred geometry. And that encompasses the numbers of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the reciprocals and the square roots. And all these things, fit together to try to tell us, where we think we've got a very low risk or low risk buying opportunity or selling opportunity. That's really what it's all about. And when those levels fail, then that is important too. That tells you you're going to go down, to the next level. But what we'll do on tomorrow, we will double check these cattle market just to see if the top was in yesterday or today, and then we'll see what goes on from that level, just for general purposes, because the fact that it was unusual that cattle did go limit up, but that should be about it in the cattle, about the 127 level. So if we watch that, it'll be educational at best. Now, Apple's earnings came out, and of course, they were a little less than expected, which was a big surprise. Usually they open $10, $15 higher, but that's neither here nor there. So, we've been up in these areas of all these major stocks, Amazon, Google, they've all hit some really major areas, and we've focused on those before. And we'll do Amazon here again just to show you where we are. This is where we are at. We're as of Monday. You'll see here that we had these big moves. We went back up to that 950 level again in Amazon, which was that big 1.618 retracement. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know what you mean by that. Will his name be known from this week forward? That depends on what happens at the end of the week, Mr. P. That's all I can tell you. Now, and believe me, everybody makes a prediction here and there. That's, this is what we do is, we can't be rock stars because none of us can sing. So we got to try to pick spots in the market that, might have some historical significance. So that's all it is. It's just, picking it. You're not, you figure if you can be right 6 or 7 times out of 10, you're going to be really pretty good shape. But the problem is that you have to focus on the risk of what you're looking at. So what we try to do is focus on the smallest possible risk that you're looking at when you're ready to enter a trade. That's the best way. Now let me show you one that's going to be interesting. We got Norm coming in pretty soon, but keep an eye on this one, folks. This is worth the price of admission, and this is the Christmas corn. And you'll see this is something we want to be watching. Oh.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters. In quiet markets, investors search for new trading opportunities. We'd like to introduce you to a new product that provides opportunities even in flat markets. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a new and innovative Chicago-based exchange registered with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their trading platform. Nadex never charges a fee to use their platform, which even includes real-time charts and full customization capability. Nadex's unique short-term binary options allow traders and investors to capitalize on strategies even when the underlying markets are quiet. Nadex's innovation has allowed them to come up with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com, or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Technomental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Technomental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you'll lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Technomental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Okay, we're back, folks, and we have Norm Winsky of Astro Trend on the line. Norm, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning to you, my friend. Okay, why don't you go ahead? I've got your first chart posted up there of coffee, so why don't you go ahead and take the baton, and when you're ready to move to the next one, let me know.
Okay, well, for anybody who's new, we'll just give you a quick little background info. I do planetary cycles, and my one of my top things is when the planets are what's called station points. In other words, due to relative motion of the Earth to other planets, Just like when you're driving in your car, you're doing 60. If you look at your speedometer, says you're doing 60, but if you look out your side window and somebody's passing you doing 70, you may get the impression that all of a sudden you're going backwards, even though intellectually you know you're not. That's relative motion, apparent relative motion. That's what happens here on Earth. We look out at the sky, and you'll notice that the planets will be going along, and then all of a sudden, individually, they look like they stop their motion and reverse their direction. The general principle is when the planets change trend, the markets change trend. And I'll show you that now as we go through this. So I came on your show on the 5th of April. I asked for that date to come on the show because Saturn was turning retrograde. There's two kinds of station points. One where the planet stops to go backwards. Backwards is retrograde. And when it stops to go forward, that's called direct. So Saturn was going to stop and go retrograde the night of the 5th. And I said, watch out for, I think I had coffee as one of the markets. As you can see here on the chart now, there's the green arrow on the 5th. And we were in a bottoming pattern there. And then the market went up for about 2 weeks. And we will cover that. We'll be back to that moment in a minute or two. Then we moved, and I also laid out that over the weekend of the 7th, and into Monday the 10th, we had Sunday night we had Mercury turning retrograde, and on Monday night I think we had a full moon. So let's go look at what was happening there on the next chart. Here's your corn. Mercury is associated with the grains, and there's your corn making its low right there on the early wee hours of the 10th. Over the weekend, Mercury turned retrograde Sunday night, and there's your corn making a low. Okay, now we're going to move ahead, and here's the next date I gave you. I laid out the whole month in early April. I gave you these 5 big dates. That's kind of going to be our guidance here, what we're going to be looking at. We have 5 big dates, 5 big events. 4 of them were station points. This is very unusual. I don't ever remember a month like April ever in the past, and it's going to probably be a long time before we get another one like where you have 4 station points in 1 month. And then we have the other point I liked a lot was when the planets get to 0 latitude, and we had that with a new moon on the 25th. We'll be covering that in a minute or two. So moving ahead here now, we saw the corn. The next point I mentioned was that Venus was turning direct on the weekend of the 13th. We had a 3-day weekend with the holiday, and there we go. Here's your there's the 9th. Oh, there was the Mercury. Oh, I remember now. Mercury turned retrograde in the sign Taurus. Taurus is cattle and cotton. I'm showing the cotton here because it made a low on right there on that Sunday night. It didn't even wait for Monday. So there you go. Sunday night, Mercury turns retrograde in Taurus, and the cattle and the cotton makes a low, and made another low later that week when Venus turned direct in Pisces. And Venus is associated with Taurus and these markets in cotton. There you go. And then you had a nice low on the cotton, and then you had a big rally. Let's see. Our next point, there's another Venus market is wheat. Wheat is a combination of Mercury and Venus. And there you go. You on the over that 13th weekend, or a day early. It was a day early. You made a nice top there on the wheat as Venus was turning direct. Okay. Then later in the month, we had Pluto. I asked to come back on your show on the 19th, and we had some, I laid out that we had, let's see, cocoa, hogs, and bonds, and also because Pluto's in Capricorn, we needed to look at coffee. And so here's your cocoa. On the morning of the 20th, the Pluto actually did its thing in the wee hours of the 20th, and there you go. There's right there in the morning of the 20th, there's a spike low in cocoa. Now let's go back and look at the coffee in the beginning. And give me a moment here to get back there. There you go. There's your coffee. I was on the air in the morning of the 19th, and I was saying, wow, this. See, if you drew some, I had some trend lines on the chart here for the coffee. And if you drew some just simple trend lines here, channel the thing, it was right to the top of the channel there. So, wow, it looks like this coffee could be a great setup, and looks like it could be topping out, and then boom. It dropped. It actually dropped too much because unless you got in right there that morning, you might have missed them. The train pulled out of the station very quickly, and so anyway, it dropped about 12 and a half handles, $4,700 in about 2 days. So that was a rather dramatic thing.
Well, the coffee move was almost $5,000, wasn't it? Or a little more than 5,000.
It's 12 and a half handles in 2 days. That works out to I think $4,705.
Yep, that's for sure.
There you go. So that was it was percolating there. All right. Anyway, so our next point was let's see. Moving ahead here now. There's your wheat. We talked about the cocoa. Oh, here's your hogs. And again, I mentioned hogs was a Pluto thing, and the hogs were about a day late getting to the trough. Little hog joke there, Larry. And,
yeah, just like it was percolating like the coffee joke. Yeah, okay. Don't lose your day job, okay?
Yes, sir. Ba-bum-bum. All right, so there we go. There's the hogs making their low on the 21st. They were a day late, but then they had a really nice reversal there. And so anyway, why do we want to look at the past? Because the planets repeat. These are repeating patterns, and they're very predictable. We know what the planets are going to do days, weeks, months, years in advance. I could tell you about next year, So we do as we watch and see how the markets are responding to these points. And then there's a very high percentage of the time that these markets, if they get to an extreme, are going to reverse at these points. So let's look ahead now. Here is the stock market. The stock market is the big basket of everything. Because of that, the stock market is not tuned to any one planet or one sign like most of the commodities are. The stock market is the big basket of everything, and it's tuned to everything. So anything important, we look at the stock market. So I laid these 5 points out in early April. Well, how did we do? Well, here's the black bars of the Dow Jones. This is my Bradley style chart that I do. I do a couple different versions in advance in anticipation, because also not only do these points give you change in trends, often the polarity of the energy will invert at these points. So anyway, here's your black bars right here when Saturn, this is a symbol for Saturn, SR, stationary retrograde on the 5th. And you can see there the market had a nice top there, which lasted for the Dow for 3 weeks. S&P bottomed over here when Venus turned direct on the 13th. That was the low on the S&P for the month. This was the low for the Dow on the 19th. Mercury going retrograde. That was a retest the high of the 5th. And so all these points worked. Here we go. There's Pluto. That was the low for the Dow. And then we rallied all the way up to when Mercury got to 0 south latitude on the 26th, which was also new moon. That turned out to be the high of the moon.
And we got to take a break here, Norm. Will you stay with us for just a second?
Absolutely.
We'll percolate into session 2.
Great.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you like it does me, visit everbank.com/TFNN to find out what they can do for you. Again, that's everbank.com/TFNN. Visit them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
TFNN has put together the finest live programming lineup each trading day, featuring some of the most knowledgeable and respected financial minds in the nation to educate traders and investors. On Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we broadcast 9 hours a day starting at 8 a.m. as John Logan kicks us off each trading day with the Global Market Pulse. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we broadcast 11 hours. Get an early and healthy start to your day as Nico and Paige bring you Living a Primal Lifestyle. Then catch Andy Hecht at 5 p.m. with the Commodities Hour. Following the Tom O'Brien Show, Mondays and Fridays. Catch live trading on the Nadex platform with hosts Tom and Tommy O'Brien, along with Daryl Martin on the Bull Bear Binary Option Hour. See the TFNN program lineup via the link on the front page of TFNN.com to get a complete overview of our TFNN shows and hosts. And keep TFNN's Tiger TV tuned in on your mobile device, PC, or Mac for the latest financial news and information throughout the broadcasting day. TFNN, educating investors.
Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Catch the Money Masters as they teach you the art of mastering money when it comes to trading and investing. Next on TFNN.
Okay, we're back, folks, and we're with Norm Winsky from Astro Trends out of Florida. Norm, what would you like to look at next?
I'm just going to recap this chart here. These 5 points I have on here, you notice if you study them carefully, they're all very accurate. There's the Dow Jones topping on the 5th. There's your your Saturn going retrograde right there. There's Mercury. There's the retest of the high, all to the day. I don't think you can get much more exact than that. Look, there's Venus going direct there. There's that low there on the Dow. The S&P, if you go look at the S&P chart, actually made its low of the month right there. Mm-hmm. And there's Pluto, boom, right there. There's the low on the Dow. And then went up to the Mercury point, and that was to the day also. So,
okay, we got our first question coming in from one of our listeners, Norm, and that is, you're talking sometimes about these things happening exactly during the day. When you do your trading, the question is, are you using intraday levels along with the dailies as you're getting ready to place a trade?
Yeah, that would help. That's
okay.
Fine. Everybody's different. It doesn't matter. It's up to the individual using this information. You can only. I think if you have the intraday stuff, that's helpful. To give you a little better entry.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the question.
All right. So let's look ahead into May. I'm going to map out my top spots, the top points. Not everything that's happening in the month of May, but sort of the creme de la creme here, the best of the best for the month. And so today, I think you mentioned earlier in the program, Mercury is turning direct, and that's actually this afternoon. I think just afternoon, about 12:30 or so. Mercury will be turning direct. Mercury is the grain, so you want to watch those. And then
Norm, I have to interrupt you. Do you remember it was 2 years ago when we had you on? I believe the first time it was first or second time it was May the 19th.
Yes,
and
sir.
We had Mercury going retrograde, and we had a new moon, and you said the stock market was going to top that day, and you had it within 15 minutes, as I recall.
I don't know about the 15 minutes, but
I wrote it down. I wrote it down.
All right, there you go.
Okay, good. Anyway, I just wanted to let the folks know that some of these things. Yeah.
Listen, Larry, I've been doing this planetary stuff about 45 years now, and I'm amazed every month. It's like how well this stuff works. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's for sure.
All right, so we got here's the deal on the grains. You talked about them earlier. They had a little. Unfortunately, I like to see what you want to see is the market move like a magnet. Like iron filings to a magnet into a higher low, get to an extreme into our planetary window, our change in trend window. And when they do what I call aversion or avoidance move, when they turn a little bit too early, they could be telling you that they don't want to make a top or bottom there, and they're trying to avoid doing that. And the grains kind of topped out maybe just a little bit early here yesterday. And so it's a little bit up in the air whether they're what they're doing here, Mm-hmm. So if they continue, it could be they're just going to have a pullback in the Mercury direct, and then they could go up into the full moon next week, which is on Wednesday, the 10th.
Okay.
If we start breaking down here, though, breaking through your levels there, Larry, then they're probably going to go lower into the full moon. So it's kind of we're at a fork of the road here on the grains. And then the next, what's that?
We're at a fork in the road with a lot of different things. We have another question from one of our listeners, Norm, and that is, where do you see the stock market going over, say, into the full moon of next week?
Well, I'm getting to that on the next point here. So if we we had a top back on the 26th. That's been the high, at least for the Dow and the S&P, I think. The bubble index, the NASDAQ, that's gone crazy. And that's, the Larry, that conjures up the past markets, the 72, 73, what's happening with the stock market is somewhat similar to 72, 73 when you had your Nifty 50. You might remember that.
Oh, sure. Yep.
And you had
Polaroid,
a bifurcated market, and you had a handful of stocks going up and making all the noise, and everybody else was sleeping. The analogy is, the generals charge out on the battlefield and the troops stay in the barracks, right?
Yep, that's for sure.
So,
I remember when there was Kodak and Polaroid, and they're no longer in existence.
Right, the hottest stocks then, you had your Xeroxes and your Avons.
Yeah.
And they were
Bowling.
They were trading astronomical valuations, right?
Yeah, sure was.
All right, anyways, so we got Venus going south latitude. That's one of my top points coming up Monday night, the 8th, overnight between the Monday and Tuesday night, between Monday and Tuesday morning. And so we want to watch the stock market. Now, the stock market is the big basket of everything. So all these points apply to the stock market. And then we also have cattle, cotton, sugar, wheat. Well, the cattle has gone nearly parabolic here. So if the cattle were to continue higher into Monday, that could be a great setup for a top.
Norm, we have a question about whether this May 8th number or day that you're talking about, because that's the day of the French elections, as I recall. Will that have a profound effect? And do you have a prediction of what will happen over there?
No.
Okay.
No, it's the other way around. The planets will write the script.
Okay.
Yep.
They don't impel, they compel, as I think.
Something like that,
Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Norm.
All right, anyway, so watch out for that. If the cattle continues higher, going parabolic, you might be looking at a high about Monday or Tuesday of next week on the cattle. And then we also have cotton, sugar, and wheat. Watch those markets. Then you have a full moon after the, I guess the evening of the 10th is the full moon. And that's going to occur in Scorpio, which in addition to the usual suspects, we have like the grains, love the moon cycle. You and I talk about it all the time, Larry, and the precious metals like the lunar cycle too. We get the additional kicker in Scorpio. You get your cocoa, hogs, and bonds.
Norm, take the next couple of minutes here to tell the folks what they can get from you for free, which is probably one of the best educations for financial astrology you can get. Why don't you give a review of what's available out there and how they can reach you?
Okay, do that in 10 seconds. We have a huge thing happening the 18th. We have Saturn and Uranus forming an angle that this is part of a 46-year cycle. We've had huge things happen in the past when Saturn and Uranus got together. Keep that in mind. Then we have the new moon on the 25th. Okay, so here, who am I? If you don't know me, I've been on here many times, and I have about 45, 50 years studying the market. I started studying the stock market when I was 15 years old. I'm 66 now, and then right out of college, I went to Chicago, became a floor trader, and was trading my own money. I wasn't a broker. I was risking my own money every day. I was a market maker on the CBOE and a local on the Board of Trade. Did all that when I was a young feller. And so I got some experience. I've been studying these markets for a long, long time, almost every day. So you can get a free education, free class. I have a free class. And you get my letter for free, the May letter. If you contact me right away, this got to be this week, contact Norm at I get the free class, individual class. We do it based on your schedule and your level of knowledge. And so you can contact me. I'm here in Florida at 239-594-3939. That's 239-594-3939. There's my email address on there, nwinsky@embarkmail.com, or you can Skype me at norm.winsky, W-I-N-S-K-I is the Winsky part. And you're going to get learn some astro, learn some fractals, and advanced Fibonacci, all kinds of things. You basically get a college education all in one class and get to talk to me and work with me for a week or two, all for free.
Norm, thanks very much, my friend, and we'll have you on soon. So let us know when you'd like to come back.
You bet. Thanks a lot for having me on, Larry. Hope to make some folks some money.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Okay, folks, we're back, and I want to keep you advised about these precious metals because I still think we're heading a little lower. We got some pretty good support at 12.48 in the gold. Silver has already broken through that support, so I think we have to respect these dates that are coming up early next week on the 8th, which will be Monday. So this is the day when I think if we can keep the gold and silver on the defensive till that level, it's going to set up a really good buying opportunity, coming into that full moon date along with the cycle. And remember, we have Mercury is going to go direct tomorrow. That should cause some fireworks just about everywhere. And of course, we have the French election on Sunday, which will be could be a big surprise because if the lady wins, that would be equivalent to a Trump-type upset. So we'll watch it very closely. The other one is we're watching these grains very, very closely. As we said earlier, kind of keep an eye on December corn because it's making an incredibly bullish pattern here over the past several months, and that's new crop corn. So that means that there could be some either weather problems or new demand coming in on some of these things. So we're going to be following these extremely closely. Also, the crude oil market, folks. Crude oil went down, and we've tried to hold that 61% retracement for, I believe, the third time. And I'm not sure whether it's going to hold it or not, but it's certainly trying to hold that $47 barrel level. Breaking below that, folks, sets up crude for a price of between $42 and $38 per barrel. That's just basically looking at the ABCD type structure that we follow all the time. So those are the key things I think that will be coming over the next few days that will be pretty important. The dollar, we still have a great deal of resistance in the euro at this 109.50 level. We got up to 109.33 2 days in a row. So we'll see what's going on. So far, there's nothing really going on in the market very much. The S&P is down 3. The Dow Jones is down, 30 points. So there's really very little. So live every day in an attitude of gratitude, and may God bless.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.